Before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're trying to 286,000 subscribers by the end of next week. And if you guys like my team content, you'll see more of it here than anywhere else. But anyway, now let's get on to the video. BG here, and today we are going to be doing a tier list of the best Dark Matter cards in NBA 2K22 MyTEAM. So we're going to do best Dark Matter today, best Galaxy Opal probably tomorrow, and then we're going to go back to just regular with like the point guard, tier list that we always do. Just going to go back to that, and yeah, we're going to make maybe 1 to 2 more videos today after this, because again, I have nothing really else better to do with my time. Playoffs are on. I have a feeling that the Sixers are going to I think the Heat are going to smoke the Sixers. And I mean, it's going to be 3 a.m. for the game I really want to watch, which is Luka versus Dallas, or Luka versus Phoenix, which is quite a while from now. But anyway, I don't know why I'm saying this before the video. Let's just get on to it. First up, Albert King. So I'm going to put Albert King as far as Dark Matter. Like, this is only Dark Matters, by the way. This is only Dark Matters. So for me, I think I really like Albert King, but I think he's probably B tier as far as Dark Matters go. I think he's on like that Kawhi level. Ray Allen on very quick, dribbles the ball quite well, is really good defender. Just offensively, I don't know how I feel about him on offense. I'm going to put Albert King, though, into B tier. Let me get Alex English. Look, I think he's C. Like, Alex English can move. Alex English can shoot. He's like a much worse version of Carmelo Anthony. Like, we could be looking at Alex English going down a tier. We could honestly be looking at him going down a tier. And by the way, today's Dark Matters are not on this list, because I made this tier list yesterday, like the actual cards. So if I'm going to put in today's Dark Matters, it would be Mikal Bridges in B tier. It would be Marcus Smart in C tier. In E tier, I would have Jordan Poole. And in worthless tier, I would have Jalen Brunson. So if you guys are wondering where today's cards are, it's Mikal Bridges in B. C tier, Marcus Smart. E tier, Jordan Poole. Because I just don't really like Jordan Poole. And then, obviously, no one's going to argue Jalen Brunson's not in the worthless tier. Okay, so then we've got B or A. B or A for Alonzo Mourning. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to go A. I am going to go A tier with him. A very, very solid card. His jumper is fast, but it looks awkward. If you can get his jumper down, he's a great defender, wide body. I'm going to go A tier for him. We got Artis. Artis going to go A as well. Artis is definitely a better player for most people than what's his name's going to be. He's a better player for the vast majority than Alonso's going to be. The thing with Artis is that he's just a little bit outdated, and he's also a lock-in. So, but he is A tier. No question about it, he's A tier. Next up, we got Simmons S. Whether you're talking about Simmons as a power forward, whether you're talking about Simmons as a small or as a point guard, it doesn't matter. If you want to run him at the 4 and run Jordan at the 1, or you Luke at the 1, or you want to run Simmons at the 1 and run those guys at 2, Simmons probably belongs in everyone's best 5 lineup, unless, again, you prefer, like, you want to run Seti and Nedelicki or something. But, like, no, Simmons is that dude. Then into worthless tier is Bill Laimbeer. He's so bad. Like, I'm sorry if you like Bill Laimbeer. Like, people do like him, and that's fine. Like, you can like cards that suck. A lot of people like cards that stink. It does not change the fact that the card stinks. Blake and Bob Nedelicki. Now, this is a tough one. I'm going to have to change these tiers. I'm going to move Zoe down. I'm going to move Artist down as well. If I'm putting both of these... Nah, I gotta. Bob's better. Bob's tougher to deal with than Blake. Like, I don't really like Bob. Like, I'm not the greatest with Bob because I'm just not used to Set Shot 25 yet. A lot of time I face a lot of bad players with Bob, which is weird because you'd think it'd be a lot harder to get Bob, but I think Bob is just nowadays if you put the hours in. Like, I reckon if I had put in the hours, I probably would have Bob right now, but I'm 0-0, so it is what it is. But Bob, I'm gonna put him into S tier because he is hell. Beal, I don't like Beal. Putting it straight up. I know some people swear by Bradley Beal. I don't like the card. I really don't. Like, I've tried him. I have him. Like, I was playing freaking Emerald Lonzo Ball over him. I don't like Bradley Beal. Melo. Yeah, Melo's A. Starting to like the look of this a little bit more. Melo is A tier. Melo is most definitely A tier. Like, he's got the leaner. He plays great defense on both gens. He'll shoot the lights out on next. He's way better on next. Like, he's probably S tier on next gen. He probably is, but I'm going to put him A tier overall. Maybe he could get moved up to S. Seti does go in S. Seti Maxwell is a no-brainer S tier. The guy is insane. He came out early. He came out really, really early. But Seti, whether it's the 2 or the 3, base 3 on very quick, elite level defense. 6'8" with a 7'1" wingspan. Nah, Seti's that dude. Bosch, I don't know. Bosch is either high B or low A. Bosch is not as good as Blake. And I think Alonso and Bosch are the same tier, because I think there are positives and negatives to both of them. I think they are quite close. Mullen. Now, Mullen's A. Mullen's not as... For me anyway, Mullen's not as good as Seti. Mullen's good, though. Like, if you did lock in for your Mullen, you got a really good card. And he's been out for quite a while, and he's still a good card. So if you locked in for Mullen, I'm not going to lie, you got a pretty good card in your hands. You got a pretty good card if you locked in for Mullen. So you should not regret that. Clyde. Honestly, I think Clyde is A or B. Clyde is really good. It's just not a lot of people have the card. It's hard to judge Clyde because, again, he's like supremely underrated because not a lot of people have the guy, but it doesn't change the fact that Clyde is in fact a really good card. Now, Dame. Like, Dame could be pushing worthless, you know. Dame's terrible. Dame is like really terrible. I think Dame's in worthless. Honestly, I'm putting Dame in worthless. I really don't like the card. Derrick Rose. C with potential to go to B. C with potential to go to B. He's just small. Like, if you're asking me who's better, Derrick Rose or Marcus Smart, Marcus Smart way better on defense, Derrick Rose way better on offense. I put them on that same level. I would put Derrick Rose in the same tier as Marcus Smart. As in, they're probably the 2 best little point guards in the game. Like, under 6'4" point guards in the game, they are the 2 best. But I think they're both C. You could argue both of them B tier, honestly, though. Dikembe Mutombo, get into A. B. If I've got artists in B tier, Dikembe's in B. He's like a worse Kareem. Dirk Nowitzki. Now, Dirk, I'm putting Dirk in A tier. I'm not putting Dirk in S. Dirk is an absolute elite player. And Dirk's on that Blake level. Dirk could be a top 2 player at the power forward position. But I just think that release is a little bit awkward. I don't think it's terrible. I don't actually think that release is terrible. I just think it's a little bit awkward. Dwight Howard. At this stage in my team, Dwight Howard plays no offense. Don't lock in for him, D tier. Gary Payton. At this stage in my team, dude comes with 20 hoffs. There are pink diamonds coming out with basically the same amount of hoffs as him. Gary Payton has a normal timing release, 20 hoffs, and is not that much better than his pink diamond card. Now, Gary Payton's going into worthless there. Giannis A. There is an argument to be made for Giannis in S. I just prefer Carmelo Anthony, and for that reason, if I prefer Melo to Giannis, I can't put Giannis above A. Glensky, great on current gen, not great on next. D, just like worse than Alex English. Based on quick is cool though. Glenn Robinson, D. Again, not a great card. Like, he's fine. Like, he's objectively usable, which is not what you want to hear about a card that you're spending quite a lot of MT on, who's a dark matter. Ja's at that same level. Like, I think Ja's released on normal timing, isn't it? Am I right in saying that? I don't know what you guys can see here, but am I right in saying that Ja Morant has his release on normal? No, it's Paul George on quick. Still, though, I don't rate Ja Morant's release at all. Worthy, C. Worthy's good, though. Worthy is a good card, but I'm going to go C tier. In comparison to these guys, I think he's a little bit worse power forward than Bosch and Alonso. You could definitely argue Worthy up in B, but I'll put him C. Jerry Sloan. I don't think Jerry Sloan is as good as Alex English. I think he's probably a bit better than Glenn Rice, if not at the same level. He's D or E. Let's go in here. Jimmy Buckets. Now, Jimmy Buckets has no flaws. I'm putting Jimmy Butler in A tier. Is there a flaw with Jimmy Butler? Like, if he has a flaw, let me know, because he's a flawless card. I don't think he's the best card in the world, but he's flawless. He doesn't have any problems. So now we're going to put in some of these lower tier guys. Finish off the list. Trae Young, just because of how well Trae Young moves and how good Trae Young is in offense, I'm going to put Trae Young in E tier. Could Trae Young be worse than Peyton or Ja for a lot of people? Yeah, it's just Trae Young in the right hands is potentially better than any of these guys in the right hands. Westbrook is going worthless there. Like, the only use for Westbrook is that the AI leaves him wide open. And, like, if you change your defensive settings to smother tight, Westbrook is one of the worst point guards. He's not a top 50 point guard in the game. Like, there might be Westbrook's a worse dark matter than Bill Lambie. However, Jalen Brunson is worse than Westbrook, which is a surprise. Like, Jalen Brunson or Westbrook has normal timing, like slasher dribble style, and like isn't even good. Like, oh no, Westbrook sucks. Westbrook really sucks. Matt Calvin sucks as well. He's too small. He's like a worse Trae Young. I think maybe you could argue Matt Calvin in E tier, because I think in the right hands, Matt Calvin's better than all of these guys. But I'm only gonna put one of the little guys in the higher tiers, and I'll let that be Trae Young. I'll give Steph a spot in E tier as well. I'll give Steph a spot there. Like, again, the right hands with the Curry fade can really just, if someone knows they're doing with Curry, they really can. They can take advantage of that. Like, I've seen a lot of really good players with Steph Curry that will just cook. And again, there's we saw, I know it wasn't this Curry, but like we did see Justin and Grussy running Steph in 250. And like, if there are people legit running Steph in 250, the Opal Steph for that time, the Dark Matter Steph is a lot better than that Opal Steph. Actually, to be fair, he's not much better. I think Steph may be worthless as well. Let's go some lower tier guys. Tracy Mcgrady. If you're asking me who's better, Glenn Rice or T-Mac, I'm taking Glenn Rice. I don't rate this T-Mac. I also don't rate Willis Reed. I think Willis Reed belongs in E tier as well. I think Willis Reed is a perfectly okay card, but that's the best you can get. Like, compared to these guys in the higher tiers, like comparing them to Dwight, like, no, Willis Reed's nowhere close to Dwight. He's nowhere close to Dwight. Is there any other players that are going to go into these lower tiers? No, I think we're good with the lower tiers. Josh Giddey. Now, Giddey's going A. I really like Josh Giddey. I think Josh Giddey has a lot going for him in game. I really do. I think Josh Giddey can move. He can shoot. I think you can make the argument that Josh Giddey's an S tier player. He's not. I'm not putting him there, but you can make that argument. You really can. Josh Giddey's that dude. Now, Dr. J is just a little undersized. Dr. J, if he had more size, he would be better. Like, I would be tempted to put I would love to put Dr. J in A tier, but he's not as good as Jimmy Butler. He's not as good as Chris Mullin. He's not as good as Melo. I would love to put him in A tier, but Dr. J is a good card. Don't get me wrong, a good card, but he's B tier. Kareem S. No, Kareem, you go A. I'm like, there's only 2 centers going into S tier, and I can't put 3 guys that are only primary and secondary centers. Well, they can only technically play at the center position. I can't put 3 of them in S tier because that goes against my whole S tier is the best 10 logic from all my other tier lists. Karl Malone. Now, this is tough because like Karl Malone's got quick dribble style, a wide player build. But for me, he's not as good as Luka. He's not as good as Blake. And I've already got too many players in A tier. I like Karl Malone. I think Karl Malone's really good. And I think you can maybe argue Karl Malone is the best player in B tier. You probably can argue that. But he's going to go B. Kawhi Leonard. Look, a 50 Hoff badge Kawhi is really good. But Kawhi Leonard's B tier. Kawhi Leonard is no better than Albert King in game. Honestly, Kawhi Leonard is no better than Mikal Bridges in game. Mikal Bridges is probably better. Got 5, or he comes with like 7 extra Hoffs or something. So, Kawhi was really good for his time. He's one of the easiest players in the game to green with. He's one of the best cones in the game. He's really good, but like, is Kawhi better than Jimmy? In my opinion, no. Is Kawhi better than Melo? No. Is Kawhi better than Chris Mullin or Giannis Antetokounmpo? In my opinion, no. You can make the argument that he is, and if you want to argue Kawhi is A tier, I'm all for it. For me right now, B tier. Kevin Bleepin Durant, as Skip Bayless calls him. I think I'm going... No, screw it. I'm putting Melo in S tier. I don't care. I'm putting Melo in S tier. Kevin Durant's going A tier. I think Melo's just slightly better. I think Melo shoots the ball a little bit better. Melo moves at a similar level. KD can move, though, because of the skinny player build. Like, KD really, really can move. His defense is pretty good. Can't really play much on-ball defense. It's kind of weak. But he moves well on offense. So, A tier. Clay's going to go C tier. Good defender. Decent shooter. Off the catch. But his fade is ridiculous. His whole thing is the fade. But for me, it's like his pink diamond feels basically the same as the dark matter. No off-wick first step. C tier. Kobe Bryant. Now, Kobe's somewhere between C and D. I'm going to go D tier because of normal timing. That's it, but I do like Kobe. Like, if you were to ask me who's better, Kobe or Clay, like, that's a close one. I really do like this Kobe Bryant, so I'm kind of reluctant. It's a reluctant D tier. Kristaps Porzingis, S tier. Porzingis really is that dude. Like, at the center position. He's the best center in the game, not named Yao Ming. He is, in my opinion, the best center in all of my team, not named Yao. So we gotta show some respect and keep him into S tier. Larry Legend, A. Larry's good. He's good. We're gonna have to start moving some players down. So I'm gonna move. I'm trying to move someone down to B. I'm trying to think of who I want. Because I do like Larry. I think I might move Jimmy Butler down to B tier. But, like, that's, again, just a sign of how good this freaking tier list is. Jimmy Butler's getting down. To put him on the same tier as Kawhi. LeBron James, B. For this tier list, for me, he's B tier. In terms of his inability to create. Like, I think Kawhi and LeBron are very, very similar, as in they're both incredible on-ball defenders. They're both shoot well off the catch, and they both can't really create. So, if I got one of them in B tier, I'm putting both of them in B. Luka Doncic, get into S tier. Luka Doncic. And the fact is, you could argue some guys in B tier up to S tier. Like, A, B, S, A, and B are all really good cards, and then kind of C is where the drop-off between B and C is bigger than the drop-off between B and S for a lot of players. But Luka Doncic, still, if we're talking current gen, he's the best. Or say next gen, he's the best. Okay on current, but he's still the best player in the game on next gen. Marquez Johnson, D. He's okay. Like, Marquez Johnson is perfectly fine. He is a perfectly fine card. That's the only way I can describe him. He is perfectly fine. Jordan, S. Like, Jordan is still probably the number one card in all of my team. After all of this time, I think I would still say that Michael Jordan is the number one card in my team, which is crazy. Like, all the trade dribble sigs, an elite shooter, great fade, great behind the back. Dude's like a completely upgraded Vinny. Like, he's ridiculous. Great dunker. Jordan is still probably number one, even with this guy in the game. Even with the glitchy Yao Ming. So, Yao Ming is the best center in my team, bar none. He is fast enough. He's not fast, but he's fast enough that it does not make him a liability. His other card is too slow and he's a liability at times. This card is fast enough that he's not a liability. You can't even contest him. You legit cannot even contest Yao Ming. He just shoots and the ball goes in. He literally, like, there's nothing you can do. You just press square with set shot 8 and the ball just goes in. He doesn't miss because of his 95 3 ball. He can move well. As long as you don't try to dribble the ball with him, he's ridiculous. Sorry, he's just ridiculous. Dunktober Jokic, B. I think Dunktober Jokic is the best offensive player in B tier. His defense is meh. Like, I would love to put Dunktober Jokic in A tier, but he's not as good as Blake Griffin. He's not as good as Blake. I would love to put him in A, but he's not as good as Blake. He's not as good as Dirk. He's not as good as Larry. So, B tier. And I think at the very same level to Dunktober Jokic is Patrick Ewing. I think Ewing's a really good card. I just don't think he's Blake Griffin good. I think if I move up one of them, I have to move both. Like, I think Dunktober Jokic, Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing, Nikola Jokic, and Chris Bosh and Alonzo Mourning are all very similar level cards in that power forward position. Man, like, the gap between B and C tier is so big. It's mad. Paul George, I actually think I think he's an A tier player. He's just he's just too expensive for what he is. Like, he's the price of Luka, but he's not as good. And it's like, at that 2 guard position, there's so many great budget options that if you're not buying if you don't have Seti, you might as well just play freaking Kazi rather than playing Paul George, because of how expensive he is. But Paul George is a really good card. Again, 6'9", will handle the ball quite well, will dunk well, will shoot well. Literally another player in this game with basically no flaws. The difference is he's 6'9". He's a lot taller than Jimmy. He can play at the 2. Ray Allen, like, he's C. He's not great, but he is C tier. Richard Duma. I think Richard Duma is okay. Again, base 22 is a good release, but again, he's C tier. Big Shaq, the Diesel, C. The guy can't shoot. You really think it's me? Like, this is me. Do you really think for me that I'm putting a guy who can't shoot the ball above C tier? Like, he sets big screens, sure, but so does Sim Vular. Like, I get it, he's super, super fast. But, like, he's a tier better than Dwight. He's not 2 tiers better than Dwight. Terry Dishinger, B. Wherever Dr. J is, they're essentially the same card. Terry's just a slightly better Dr. J. Terry's better than Dr. J, but he's not enough better to be a tier, to have multiple tiers in the difference between the 2 of them. Thurl Bailey, wherever James Worthy is. Thurl and James Worthy. Basically, the difference between Thurl and Worthy, they're very, very similar stats and badge-wise. And the difference is, James Worthy has his release on very quick instead of quick, and quick dribble style, whereas Thurl has fundamental and his release on quick. But Thurl's 2 inches taller and they have the same wingspan. It's basically it. Would you rather have quick dribble style and a very quick jump shot, or have a player who's 2 inches taller? That's what, like, and they've basically the same animations and almost identical stats and badges, so they both have to go same tier. Vince Carter. I have to put Vince in B. Like, I love Vince, but he's not as good as Chris Mullin. He's not as good as Paul George. He's at that same level as a Kawhi LeBron. Different type of player, but he's at that same level. So I'm put Vince in B tier. He's good though. Vince is really good. His B tier is good. Levine. I'm putting Levine in B tier as well. Like, I really do like Zach Levine. The thing with Zach Levine is just that there are better players. Like, is he as good as Clyde? In my opinion, no. Is he as good as Giddey? No. Is he as good as any of the 3-point guards in S tier? No. So B tier. And then Zion Williamson. I love Zion Williamson. I don't care. I'm putting Zion Williamson in S tier. I really don't care. I love this card. If you want to argue Zion Williamson lower, that's perfectly fine. This is my list, and he's going S tier. So, we got one more spot in S tier. Our point guards are going to be Luka and MJ. Our 2 guards are going to be Seti and Melo. Our small forward's going to be... I can either... Basically, I need a wing. I need a wing or a power forward. Who's the best player right now in A tier? I mean, it's probably... I don't know. It's like, it will be... It's Kareem, but I can't put 3. You can't run 3 power forwards in a rotation. Dirk might be there, honestly. Larry Legend could be there. You can make the argument for Giannis. And you're going to put Kevin Durant in. I'm going to put Kevin Durant in as a small forward. Use Ben Simmons as one of the 2 power forwards. And then put Kristaps there. So yeah, this is our tier list, lads. We got these guys at the bottom, gradually going up to an S tier 10 of Luka and Jordan at the 1, Seti and Melo at the 2, KD and Zion at the 3, Simmons and Bob at the 4, and Kristaps and Yao at the 5. So anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.